Hello and welcome to Charters Talk 4630. I'm your host, Stacey Mallory. Thanks to all of you who take a little time out of your schedule and tune into us. And before we get started, if I could remind you, go on to the YouTube, go to the search engine, type in three separate words, Chargers Talk 4630. Press the like button, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification button on the right. And as always, it doesn't cost you one copper penny to subscribe. This way, you'll never miss a show or podcast. And also on your device, whether it's a tablet, a phone, or computer, it will send you a notification as a reminder that either we're live on the air or we've just released the latest content. Because everyone who listens and supports us is always welcome here. And for those who may be here for the first time, I want to say thank you. Okay, so now I'm happy to be back. I took a vacation. I just celebrated my 60th birthday on March 22nd, which was Friday. It was a treat by my wife. This is the best birthday present I've ever had out of all the birthdays I celebrated. And I got to do it with two close friends that are like family, that are like another sister and a brother from another mother and another father. That's how tight we are. And we've been constantly celebrating, like when their birthday come and mine come, we just hang out. You guys ever had someone that you consider like a brother or like a sister, and you got that tight bond, like it's blood family? That's what these people are to me. So shout out to Kizzy and Cedric for coming to hang out in Aruba. My wife treated me for my 60th birthday in Aruba. Man, we partied. We had a lot of fun. I still got a tan. I like the tan that I have. I'm gonna say this to you: if you have never been to Aruba, you should put this on your bucket list. I mean, I was told they get no hurricanes or anything like that all year round. It stays 85, 90 degrees. Very rarely does it rain. If it does a little bit, I think they said in February it does. But other than that, it's just a beautiful place with so much to do. And it's on our bucket list to go back soon. When I say soon, I'm saying next year. Like that's gonna be a stop for us at least once a year. So I thank my lovely wife for giving me that gift. And I guess I gotta be a really good dude and a really good husband to receive a gift like that. So I want to jump right into some things that I couldn't comment on because I was on vacation and I was in Aruba, even though I was constantly talking Chargers with other people in Aruba to see if they like football. And some of them did. I met some Steeler fans, some Giant fans, some Jet fans, Saints, and Cleveland Browns, Miami Dolphins. Some of the clips that I just had a conversation with them for a few minutes, I posted it on my page, Charters Talk 4630. So if you haven't seen it, go on and check it out. And I rep the Chargers everywhere I go, no matter what part of the world I'm repping the Chargers. But right now, I want to say this before we jump into it as well. Everybody have a right to their opinions. Everybody's opinion matters. And I want to say that. I don't never want anyone to listen to something that I'm saying and say that I'm dismissive to how you feel, because I'm not. And I've had some people that come at me in my DM because they disagreed with me. And I think that's one of the things that's wrong with this world, that we can't just listen. We all not going to agree on everything. I don't know everything. Nobody walks this earth is perfect. Nobody knows everything at all. I'm not claiming to be Mr. Perfect, but I'm saying we can agree and disagree and still have our integrity, our dignity, and our respect towards each other. I always welcome in conversations that we can learn something from each other. Man, you may teach me something today, I may teach you something tomorrow. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's no need for me to start throwing insults and yelling and screaming and making threats. You got some people with no profile pictures, so you can't identify them. You don't know their name, and they'll come at you and say all kind of derogatory things. And that's not. I'm not about that. I'm not about that. Treat me the way I treat you. You're not going to always agree with my opinion and my views, and I'm not going to always agree with your opinion or your views. But that don't mean that we can't have a healthy, respectable conversation where we can learn from each other. Okay? Let me just throw that out here for those who don't know me. I'm an independent licensed journalist and freelance writer. My views expressed on this podcast are opinions of mine and mine alone, which is based on research and do not reflect the opinions and beliefs of other websites, other networks, or its affiliates. So now that we got that out the way, let's jump into this about Mike Williams. I'm trying to get all of us to be on the same page as Charger fans. Because I'm going to tell you, for years, being a Charger fan, 46 years, we haven't won anything. I've always been envious in a good kind of way with friends or associate of mine that I worked with or that I just knew from the community that were maybe Green Bay Packers fans or Giants fans or 49ers fans or guys that have had a lot of success over the years and in playoffs and then won Super Bowls. And I always wanted to experience that. So that's what I mean when I say envious, because I want that too, right? We know what the cap issue was before Harbaugh took over. And before I jump into that even more, I want to again, because I gave them so much hell last season on this podcast, the owners, Dean and Mark Spanos, I gave so much grief every week to the Chargers team for not stepping up, to the Chargers, to Tom Telesco, and to Brandon Staley. To the owners' credit, we always called them cheap, but let's just give them some credit right now. It took a lot, because you don't see owners that do this. Ask the Cowboy fans, right? We don't see owners, after trying it their way for so many years, decide to go out and get one of the most winningest head coaches, and we've never seen them go out and give him total control of everything. I mean, to say, listen, the way we've been doing it hasn't worked, and I want to win. I want to win for the fans. I want to win for the city of Los Angeles. I want this team to experience the confetti falling down on their heads after winning a Super Bowl. And you've proven, maybe not in the Super Bowl yet, but throughout Harbaugh's career, he's been a winner. And for him to come to that realization and give him the keys to the car and say, you run it, and no matter what it takes. So I want to give some love to the Spanos because they did that. Now, we know the Chargers was about a little over 40 million over the cap. We knew that Derwin James was the highest paid safety. We knew that Joey Bosa was due over 30 million. We knew Khalil Mack was due over 30 million. We knew that Mike Williams was due 20 million. We knew Keenan was getting 23 million. You know, Justin Herbert's contract is about to kick in, right? So we knew that. We knew the problems and the task that was ahead to first, before we could do anything, to get that number down by the rules of the National Football League and the Players Association, to get that cap number down before we could do anything. So we knew it was going to take some very hard, tough decisions. We knew that a few people were going to leave, not because they wasn't good enough or they couldn't play anymore. We knew that they were going to leave because it's a numbers issue. You had to get under the cap. And we were in a lot of trouble. We were way under the water. Mike Williams was a tremendous talent, one of the best in the league at contesting the ball when it's in the air. The only problem with Mike Williams, damn near every year he's been hurt. So we kind of like figure he was going to be one of the casualties. The Keenan Allen trade happens. And of course, X exploded, okay? Out of all the people that could have been cut or traded, I just didn't think that Keenan would be one of them because of the production that he had the previous year. In fact, he just had his best season ever. Everybody was upset because some people said, okay, I get it. You're going to trade him, but why not a fourth round pick? Then all these stories started coming out. Then you have one of these reporters put out on X that the Texans was on the verge of working out a deal, which is one of the places that Keenan wanted to go to. And the Texans was offering a third rounder for next year, wanted the Chargers to pay some of the salary and swap positions in the first round. The Bears get whiffed of it, and the Bears jump in. And the Bears say, I'll give you a fourth round right now this year, and we'll take the whole salary. It took me a minute, about an hour or so, and I got over and said, look, it's just business. Keenan did what was best for Keenan Allen. The Chargers did what was best for the Chargers. So, look, I get it. They were in a bad position. They just asked Bosa to take a $7 million pay cut. They asked Khalil Mack to restructure his contract, and they did. They did. Khalil actually did reconstruct his. So he didn't lose no money, but Bosa lost $7 million this year and $5 million next year. Now, maybe he may get it back down the road, but this season, he's getting paid $7 million less. So the Chargers did what they had to do from a business perspective. And Keenan was within his right to say, no, I'm coming off my best season. I'm not taking a pay cut. As a fan, we don't like it because we wanted him here. But he was within his right. I'm not mad at Keenan Allen for doing what he had to do for himself. All these reports start coming afterwards and saying, Keenan said this, and the Chargers saying this. Chargers saying we offered multiple extensions, multiple contract options, and Keenan turned them all down. And Keenan's agent put it out there, said, no, it didn't. And the beat reporter, Daniel Popper, he put it out there that he heard the same thing, that multiple contractual options was offered to Keenan and he didn't take it. And so everything just spiraled out of control. I get that Mike Williams and Keenan Allen is not on the roster right now. We should give a hand to Hortiz because we were over $43 million over the cap a few weeks ago. And then now we are 20 something million, like something in that area, 25 to 27 million under the cap. We should be applauding him for doing the fantastic job. Hey, look, this guy has been trained and tutored by two of the best that ever did it, Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome. And apparently he's learned some things from those guys. We're going to have compensatory picks. He plugging in the right people. So I'm saying, don't all of a sudden turn on Harbaugh. Why are we turning on Harbaugh right now? It's almost as if Harbaugh was the savior. He came in and everybody went crazy. Oh my God, we got Harbaugh. I seen people shedding tears because we got Harbaugh. We got a winner. We got a guy that's a culture builder. We got a guy that has a track record and a resume that says that you should trust him because he has had success everywhere he's went, everywhere. And Hortiz has been with a great, historically great organization that has won a lot of games with the Baltimore Ravens, and he's been there 26 years. So we got two of the best. And all of a sudden, Harbaugh is stupid now. Harbaugh don't know what he's doing. He got to get out of here. Yeah. Anybody that follows people on X, you know that's what's being said. And I'm saying how. Look, if you want to ask me how I feel about it, first let me say this. The season doesn't end tomorrow. If the season ended tomorrow, because everybody is like, this is the roster that they're going to take into the 2024 season. If the season ended tomorrow, yes, I would be worried about the roster in its current state right now. Yes, I would be. We got 6 months left before the season starts. Before the 2024 season kick off, it's 6 months away. We still have cuts that's going to take place June 1st. We still have free agency going on. Hell, we haven't even had the NFL draft yet. And everybody's freaking out. You want to ask me how I feel about the current state as it is right now with no Keenan and no Mike Williams? You might not like it. As a 46-year fan that been through every heartache you could imagine, every disappointment you can imagine, I don't care. And why should I? Why should you? I was always taught, don't worry or stress about nothing you have control over. If you're stressed about something and you can fix it where you don't have to stress no more, you fix it. If you can't fix it, why are you stressing about it? Life is too short. You can be here today and gone tomorrow. And let me tell you something about stress. Stress have taken people to their deathbed. I'm stressing over that. I'm sure there's other things in your life. If you are going to stress, there are more important things in life other than why the hell did the Chargers get rid of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen? I'm not saying you don't love your team. You don't love your team no more than I love mine. I love my team. I rep the team everywhere I go. I'm very passionate about my team. But at the same time, I understand as much as I love the team, it's a sport, but it's a business too. And I get that. Everything ain't going to go your way. But let me tell you, you should trust Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's track record says you should trust him. And Jim said three things. Jim Harbaugh said he wants to run the ball, he wants to dominate in the trenches, and he wants to be able to stop the run. He believes in that. So you shouldn't be shocked when you see him going out and they're signing these tight ends. When they sign these tight ends, you can clearly see exactly what Harbaugh is doing by the pieces that he's bringing in. You sign center Bradley Bozeman from Carolina. That's a very sneaky good pickup. Bradley Bozeman is not your future. He's not going to be there for the next 5 years or so. But Bradley Bozeman is a seasoned veteran, and he can hold down a very important position and also be a bridge until you develop the next center, which is probably going to come through the draft, I'm assuming. And they also signed linebacker Troy Dye from Minnesota. And he's a great special teams player, but he's also a great depth piece. As you know, the Chargers have had a history of injuries at the linebacker position. So Troy Dye could be a very, very important pickup. And then picking up running back Gus Edwards. I love the move. There's a lot of people saying, hey, look, I don't like it. He gets hurt. It's a 17-game season. Football is a very brutal and violent sport. You're going to have injuries sometime. Out of a 17-game season, if you can get 13 to 14 games of healthy games from Gus Edwards, it's worth it. Everybody gets hurt at some point. That's why you got to have depth. And then defensive lineman Poona Ford. Poona Ford is really, really good. I mean, no. Is he Aaron Donald? No, he's not. Is he Chris Jones? Absolutely not. Poona Ford, when you look at the highlights, he can win in the phone booth. That's what Harbaugh's talking about, being able to win in the trenches. He can win in a small room. And if you can get that from him more times than not, this could be a really big move. He's a big space in the middle that can help stop the run, and he also applies pressure by getting in the backfield and blowing plays up. The two tight ends that you picked up, Hayden Hurst and Will Dissly. Now, Will Dissly is more of a blocking tight end than he is a passer. And on the flip side, Hayden Hurst is a better pass-catching tight end than he is a blocker. But he's a big body. He does block some. And I know when you look at who he's bringing in and at the positions he's bringing them in, you clearly can see what Harbaugh is trying to do. Harbaugh wants to run the ball. It don't matter who you are. I don't care if you put 9 men in the box. Harbaugh is going to run the ball, and he's going to have success running the ball because he got Greg Roman. And a lot of people's fussing about Greg Roman. Hey, listen, fuss all you want. This guy's also had success. We have, Charger fans, please listen. We have one of the best coaching staffs ever assembled in the entire National Football League. When you go from top to bottom, it's like an all-star cast. Everybody come from winning traditions. Everybody come from winning organizations. Everybody. And a lot of them worked with Harbaugh. And Justin Herbert needs help. Justin Herbert needs help. And let me tell you why I said Justin Herbert. Look, I'm going to give you some real talk that you're probably not going to want to hear this. But I told you this is the podcast where you're going to be told what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. Justin Herbert, in his short career, has 14 game-winning drives. Most of those happened under Anthony Lynn because Anthony Lynn believed in one philosophy before anything else: run the ball and run the ball in the trenches. He believed that. For those you don't know, Anthony Lynn was backing up Terrell Davis when they were winning Super Bowls in Denver. He also was a running back coach with the Buffalo Bills when we got him. And he was also a running back coach recently with the San Francisco 49ers. So he believed in that philosophy. Staley didn't. Being with the Chargers, Justin Herbert, he's the most talented guy you've ever seen. He can make all the throws. But here's the problem where Justin Herbert needs help at. Yes, he can make all the throws. Yes, he is talented. But Justin Herbert lost 6 games where his team scored 30 points or more, and he had the ball in his hands on the final drive. That means the defense couldn't make any stops, and you could have closed some of those games out if you had some success running the ball. Austin Eckler, who I love, is really good, a great scat back. Couldn't get him the ball in space. He can make things happen. He gonna make the first or the second person miss. You on screens, Eckler is a beast. But you need to be able to run the ball between the tackles. He wasn't big enough or strong enough. Now, I don't care how many weights he lifted. He couldn't run between the tackles. And the times that he did start running between the tackles, this is not to put down Austin Eckler. This is not a beatdown session on Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler. I love what he stood for. The last couple of years before last year, he led the league 2 years in a row as a running back in touchdowns. I think 20 in one season, 18 in the next season. So I love and respect everything that Austin Eckler brought to the table. But we didn't have a closer. We didn't have a Derrick Henry when the game was on the line and you need to run that clock. You needed one first down to start running that clock out. We couldn't because we making Justin Herbert throw the ball 50 times. Justin Herbert is great. He's great. Very, 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 very talented. But he need help. Now, let me share with you when I say he need help. And the Chargers got these trust issues, the fans, and we got to stop. Trust issues are past experiences such as betrayal, consistency, or traumatic events. That's what trust issues come from. Trust issues come from, again, past experiences of betrayal, inconsistency, and traumatic events. Who does that sound like? The Chargers have been inconsistent, has caused you a lot of traumatic events, and the Chargers have betrayed you from upstairs all the way down. It's the truth. And I think this stuff triggers us because we've seen it. Us old heads, we've seen it for years. You younger guys think you really seeing something. You having it good because I think things are getting ready to turn around for the better. I wish that would have happened many, many years ago, but we got so many years of going through this. And this word here, when I was in Aruba, I was doing a lot of reading, and I ran across this word, and it reminded me of Charger fans. This word is called pistanthrophobia. Pistanthrophobia. Look it up. Pistanthrophobia. Pistanthrophobia is the fear of trusting others due to disappointment and consistently experiencing painful endings. Again, pistanthrophobia is the fear of trusting others due to disappointment and consistently experiencing painful endings. That's Charger fans. We've always been disappointed. Our endings have always been painful. We are always disappointed by this team. We've always had painful endings by this team. We've all felt that the ownership betrayed us. We all experience inconsistencies. From one week to the next, you don't know what you're going to get. And we've all been traumatized by it. But I think that shit is changing now. I think all of that is about to change. And it changes by helping Justin Herbert. Running the ball and protecting your franchise quarterback. Let me tell you, just a few. Peyton Manning, as great of a career he had, most of his 2 decades, he had Edgerrin James and Marshall Faulk. If you don't know who Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, Look them up. One is a Hall of Famer, the other one trying to get in the Hall of Fame. But as great as Peyton Manning is, he couldn't win without a running game. And Edgerrin James and Marshall Faulk gave him that before he was traded to L.A. Rams, not the Chargers. Tom Brady, throughout his illustrious career, when he was with New England, winning Super Bowls, he had Kevin Faulk, Lawrence Maloney, and Corey Dillon. Now, those are not the same type of players as Marshall Faulk and Edgerrin James, but what Kevin Faulk and Lawrence Maloney and Corey Dillon was good at, when it's time to put a game away, or when it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and inches, 4th and 1, those guys were very gritty and could get those tough yards. And those yards mean so much when you're just trying to move the chains. Another quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. He didn't win throwing the ball all over the yard. Peyton didn't win throwing the ball over the yard, neither did Tom Brady. Remember that undefeated season they had, Tom Brady? They went undefeated and they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl, set all kind of records, 55 touchdowns in the season. They didn't win that way. They won by playing solid defense, tackling the ball, stopping the run, and being able to run the ball and win in the trenches. That's how these teams won. Now, look at Ben Roethlisberger. He had Le'Veon Bell and he had Jerome Bettis. The Steelers played defense and ran that damn ball. They didn't win nothing with Roethlisberger throwing it all over. Justin Herbert hasn't won anything throwing a ball over the yard. Dallas Cowboys. Well, before I go back, let me go back to the Steelers. Even before Ben Roethlisberger, you had Joe Flacco when he was younger, and you had Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw had Franco Harris, and Joe Flacco had Bam Morris. They called him Bam Bam Morris, and Barry Foster. You guys remember them? The Chargers beat those guys in Three Rivers in 1994 to get to the Super Bowl. But you get what I'm saying. All those great quarterbacks that could sling it all over couldn't win without a running game and a defense. For the Cowboys, you had Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach. Two great quarterbacks that could throw the ball all over. Had the receivers, right? Running backs, Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famers. They can't win. You can't win without a running game. And the last one I'm going to touch on here is Russell Wilson. Everybody talk about Russ gonna cook. Let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. When Russ first came to Denver, I said to everybody that know me and know that we talk football, I specifically said, Russ not going to do well. He hadn't done well the last few years with Seattle. But when he was in his prime years, he was a guy, I'm not going to go as far as call him a game manager, but he wasn't a Peyton Manning. He wasn't an Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball all over the yard. They had the Legion of Boom defense, LOB. They were holding everybody to damn near under 13 points a game. And you had Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. That offense ran through Marshawn Lynch, and everything that Russell did, he did piggyback off of what Marshall did. Play action. Every once in a while, he hit the ball. Every once in a while, he'll throw the ball, make a big play down the field. But he was a guy that played ahead, but he couldn't play from behind because he wasn't a guy like Josh Allen that I'm going to trade touchdown for touchdown with you. He was never that guy. Justin Herbert needs help. He needs help. You got to decide as a fan, what's your definition of a great quarterback? Is it a guy that throws for 5,000 yards every year but don't make the playoffs and don't have winning seasons? John Elway, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, at his position, went to 5 Super Bowls. John Elway went to 5 Super Bowls. He lost his first 3, 86, 87, and 89. He lost those. You know why he lost them? He didn't have a running game. Trying to throw the ball all over the yard. As great as he was, it wasn't enough. But when he got Terrell Davis, TD, Terrell Davis, he won 2 straight Super Bowls. 2 straight Super Bowls. That running game is so important. You got to help Justin Herbert. You got to give him one of those guys. Gus Edwards can be one of those guys for us. But it takes nothing away from Justin Herbert. But for all the toys that we had, and everybody going crazy because we had Austin Eckler, we had Gerald Everett, we had Justin Herbert, we had Mike Williams, we had Keenan Allen, and we didn't win a damn thing. Wasting Justin Herbert's years because one guy can't beat you by himself. Chargers, we got a great coach. Do you know how many? Listen, Brandon Staley with this team 2 years ago won 10 freaking games with all of the mistakes that he made, with all the stupid things that he did in a game, not having a real plan, not having a culture there, no type of leadership from him whatsoever. Brandon Staley won 10 games with this team. You don't think Harbaugh can? You really don't believe Harbaugh can? Come on now. Don't give up on Harbaugh like that. Don't give up on Joe Hortiz. This team first had to clean up the mess that was left by Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley, at the same time trying to plug in pieces here and there, smart pieces. They've been methodically adding really smart, sneaky kind of good moves by bringing in the people they're bringing in. This chargering, you ain't going to hear that no more. I could damn near guarantee that. You ain't going to hear that no more. Harbaugh know what he's doing. Harbaugh know what he's building. He's building a culture that's going to win every year. People going to know when they play, it's going to feel like they went toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson in his prime. That's what Harbaugh going to do. And then when Justin Herbert needs to be great, Justin Herbert going to be great. But we need to get Justin Herbert some wins, some playoff wins, and get to Super Bowl. Before we can even talk about Super Bowl, you got to get to the playoffs. It's not his fault. The ownership had failed him with the people that they had in place. I just named to you what Russell Wilson did without being able to throw the ball like 25, 30 times a game. Herbert been throwing 45, 50 times a game, trying to win by himself. Russell had so much help. Peyton Manning had so much help with Edgerrin James and Marshall Faulk. Tom Brady had a lot of help with the run game with Kevin Faulk, Lawrence Maloney, and Corey Dillon. Ben Roethlisberger had so much help with Le'Veon Bell and Jerome Bettis. Terry Bradshaw had so much help from Franco Harris, Bam Bam Morris, Barry Foster. These are great, big, punishing backs. Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman benefited from Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith. It's time for Herbert to have his Robin. Eckler, as great as he wasn't running between the tackles. And the teams knew it. They would let him get all that scat stuff off and all the screens. You get all that first, second, third quarter. The fourth quarter come, they clamp down. They won't give up the edges. They plug the A and B gap, and there was nowhere to go. And he wasn't moving the pile. Justin Herbert needs help. He's too damn good to not be a playoff team. He's too good to not be a quarterback playing in the tournament every single year. And he can't do it by himself. He can't do it throwing 45, 50 times a game. No, we're not talking about game manager. We're not talking about that at all. We're just talking about playing together as a team. Harbaugh is coming with a strategy and a plan. We didn't have that with Brandon Staley at all. So I'm saying, look, man, the last thing I want to touch on is all the hoopla about Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison been catching a lot of flack online. And Marvin Harrison refused to participate in the combine. He's not running. He's not doing anything. And everybody's saying he's no good. He's overrated. You asking me, a guy that's been watching football all of my life, I ain't worried a bit about it. Marvin Harrison, a lot of experts that have been scouting him say he's the best wide receiver in this class. Not by a whole lot when it comes to Malik Neighbors, because he's right there on his heels. But they talk about him having the prototypical body, be able to make contested catches, having soft hands. It's uncanny when it comes to getting open. He always seems to get open, even when he's not. He seems to be open because you throw the ball to him when a corner is draped all over him, he still come down with the ball. And the experts say that out of every receiver, he is the only one that's NFL ready to come in and make an impact right now. But Neighbors is not far. But the notion that he's a bum and he's overrated because he won't participate at the combine, always told you I got a segment where it's time to go to school. So let's go to school for a minute. I'm going to name you receivers that's never been to the combine before, ever. And there's reasons why. Some was never invited to the combine. Some couldn't attend the combine because they had some legal issues that they were trying to handle outside of football. And some just wasn't drafted. And that's why they wasn't at the combine. But turned out to be some of the game's best receivers. Doug Baldwin. Remember him? Seattle Seahawks, 2011, undrafted. Seattle took him. All he did was have 6 seasons with over 100 catches. Guy been a beast, made his bag. 2009, 7th round pick from Kent State. Julian Edelman. Never went to the combine. But we know the history between Julian Edelman and Tom Brady. That's who Tom Brady relied on. And this guy been putting up 1,000 yards, 1 year after another. Let me throw another one at you. You'll know this one very, very. You are very familiar with this one here. 2003, also like Julian Edelman, came from Kent State. Undrafted, arguably the best tight end to ever play statistically right now. Antonio Gates. Not drafted in 2003. We don't have to go into detail, but we know who he is, what he is, and we know what the stats say. Nobody has more yards and touchdowns to this date than Antonio Gates. Never was invited to combine. You hear what I'm saying? School is in session. Chris Harris in 2011 that came from Kansas, undrafted, ended up being a Pro Bowl corner for the Denver Broncos. Spent some time with the Chargers too, but Chris Harris, I got a couple more for you. You ready for this one? Tyreek Hill came from West Alabama, drafted in the 5th round in 2016. Now, he didn't come to the combine because he had some legal issues outside of football that he needed to handle, so he couldn't go to the combine. But the point is, he never was at the combine. And look at the career that Tyreek Hill's having. Adam Thielen, wide receiver for the Vikings from Minnesota, 2013, undrafted, wasn't at the combine. Great receiver. Pittsburgh Steelers, linebacker James Harrison, undrafted, never went to the combine. Went to Kent State as well. We know who James Harrison is and the impact he had in his game, and he never was at the combine. O.C. Umenyiora, great pass rusher that came in with the New York Giants. Went to Troy State, never showed up at the combine. And the last one was a guy that the Chargers had got as well. Never drafted. Wes Welker came to the San Diego Chargers. Never was at the combine. That was in 2004. So the notion that Marvin Harrison is overrated and shouldn't go or considered to be the top wide receiver in this draft class because he refused to show up. No. Marvin Harrison said, listen, there's 3 years of film on me. Go look at the film, and that's who I am. He don't want to take a chance coming to combine, tear hamstring. Look, I get it. I get it. Him and his team made a decision. We're not going to do nothing that can cause us to fall out of that number one position with regards to wide receivers, according to most, as the best wide receiver in this year's draft. So all the notion about Marvin Harrison, I just named you a lot of great players that was never drafted or was never invited to the combine or didn't come for a personal reason. But that didn't stop them from being one of the best to ever play in the National Football League. So, Charger fans, come on. I don't care, man. I just say we need to trust Harbaugh. Herbert needs the help. Everybody, oh, Herbert, what are you doing to Herbert? What are you doing to Herbert? What are you doing to Herbert? I just showed you why Peyton Manning wasn't winning Super Bowls without that running game. Tom Brady had a running game. He couldn't have won without that running game. He tried to win with just him throwing the ball all over the yard and set all kind of records that year and went undefeated. But it wasn't enough to win in the end because they couldn't control the clock, couldn't control the line of scrimmage. They couldn't run the ball, and they went back to that and became Super Bowl champions in it. I mean, come on. It was so many people. Russell Wilson. If it weren't for Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson wouldn't be a Super Bowl champion. John Elway went to 5 Super Bowls. John Elway lost his first 3 Super Bowls because he couldn't run. But when they got Terrell Davis, this is how good Terrell Davis was. Terrell Davis really played I may be off a little bit because I'm going off the top of my head, but he only played 6, maybe 7 years. And he still was a Hall of Famer. That's how good Terrell Davis was. But that's what it took for John Elway to take the pressure off of him so he could win Super Bowls. If it's good enough, it works for John Elway. If it works for Peyton Manning, if it works for Tom Brady, right? Why can't it work for Justin Herbert? Harbaugh knows this. Harbaugh knows how to win. Harbaugh knows that you just can't throw the ball over the yard. Harbaugh knows, man. He did the same thing with the 49ers. Greg Roman is one of the best schematically offensive coordinators and run coordinators when it comes to scheming plays and blocking schemes to get that running game going. They're the best to ever do it. We have an all-star cast that's second to none. Everybody's going crazy over if the Chargers trade back. We shouldn't do it. If you're sitting there at that number 5 spot, you got to take Marvin Harrison. I know everybody said that. Why? Because you lost Mike Williams and you lost Keenan Allen. Roma Duce, some experts think he's the best wide receiver in this class over Marvin Harrison. If you trade back, if you do, Roma Duce might be there. Xavier Worthy might be there. Brian Thomas Jr. might be there. Troy Franklin might be there. Listen, this wide receiver group is deep. And I'm going to say this last thing. You have to decide what way and what kind of culture you're going to build when you're going to win the National Football League. Either you're going to be run first or throw second, or throw first and run second. I know what Harbaugh want to do. Just look at his resume. Look what he's done. And you can't argue with it because he's been successful at it. You can't argue with it. Look, I don't care about pretty toys and having Marvin Harrison over here and having Malik Neighbors on this side. You're throwing the ball. Yo, Justin could throw with anybody in the National Football League, but it hasn't worked today. That wasn't a culture. That was just doing shit. Just doing shit with no logical reason. We didn't have a culture. Just throwing the ball all over. Brandon Staley said, hey, I do this, I do that because I got a gangster for a quarterback. He had no plan. Too immature. He didn't have a plan. He didn't know how. He wasn't a leader of men. Harbaugh have a plan. Harbaugh knows how to win in the National Football League. And he looking at Herbert like, wow, this dude is off the chain. But guess what? Now I see why they can't win. It's pretty. All the pretty passes and out jump this guy and hurdling and Keenan making these one-hand stabs and everybody dancing in the end zone. But where did it get you? To hell with the pretty shit. It's time to get tough and nasty and mean. It's time to ball your fists up and punch somebody in the mouth and say, not no more. Harbaugh bringing that to the table. Staley and them didn't bring that to the table. They just had some pretty little toys and thought, because it looked cute, it didn't play out like that on the field. We were a finesse team that didn't know how to just grind it out. We didn't know how to close games because we didn't have the mindset. With Harbaugh, we got the mindset. Don't give up on Harbaugh. Don't give up on Joe Hortiz. Trust this organization right now. Trust Hortiz, and he knows what he's doing. Trust in Harbaugh. Trust their record, man. Trust their record. Their records say you should trust them. Why would you not? You know, what we've been doing hasn't produced anything but having people on networks laughing and cracking jokes and talk about charging. And you mentioned the Chargers, say, oh, they'll say at the beginning of the season, oh, I think the Chargers going to give the Chiefs, and everybody on the panel starts laughing. That's over. That's over and done with. No more of that. No more of that pretty shit. It's time to get downright nasty and get a different kind of mindset and a different culture for the Los Angeles Chargers. And Harbaugh knows what he's doing. He knows how to do it. It may not look good right now, but the end result, man, the end result, that's what you go by. Don't look at it now. You know, you take a cake and you put it in the oven and you go back and check in 15 minutes and it's starting to fluff up, but it ain't ready yet. And you're like, man, something went wrong. It ain't ready yet. Let it marinate. Understand, we have been such a toxic, badly run organization that we've gotten used to it as fans. You want to go out and sign every time a big name free agent come available. Why the Chargers didn't get him? Why we didn't get him? Why we didn't get this one? Why we just got out of cap hell? You know, you want us to go do it again? What's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over, looking for a different result. We're not doing that no more. The Chargers organization is spending the money wisely and smarter. And they have a strategy, not just for now, but they're thinking 2-3 years from now. Come on, man. It's there. All the pieces is there. Upstairs in the office, we have the coaching staff. It's all there. Just give it some time. Let these guys percolate, man. The Chargers are coming. When they say the storm is coming, the storm is coming. And it may not be Super Bowl this year, as far as I'm concerned. Would I love it? Of course I would. But it may not be Super Bowl this year. But I'm telling you, the next season after this one, they have cleaned up everything. They cleaned off the books. Now they really could get going. We're propelling this team to that Super Bowl level now. But I believe they're going to be in contention. I believe in Harbaugh. We said we wanted him. We cried and we complained and moaned about everything. When we got him, we were happy. And as soon as they made one move, we said he don't know what he's doing. No, he's not stupid, man. He's not stupid. Trust it. Trust the process. And trust him. Trust this organization right now. You can right now. You got to trust it, man. You do. We gonna be all right. But the fan base needs to come together, though, man. I be wondering, like, my goodness, is every fan base like this, or is it just us? We're so horrible and badly run that we look for any and everything to complain and cry about right now. Like everything. Just be happy, man. I'm just coming from Aruba, man, having a good time. I posted some of the pictures on X and on my Facebook and Instagram page. And I met some people, man, from different walks of life. I've met people from Canada. I met people from Minnesota. I met people from Montana. All different types of people, all different backgrounds. And man, just be happy, man. Stop all this crying and moaning so much. Please. The Chargers are on their way, man. They are. They're on their way. I don't care about anything that they're doing, like all this other stuff and drama is going. I don't care. I just want to win. That's it. I want to win. I just want to win, period. I don't care about nothing else. I just want to win. I just want to win. No matter what the cost, do what you got to do. I don't care about all the shiny objects. If we get them, we get them. We get Neighbors, good. We get Roma Duce, good. We get Marvin Harrison, good. If you trade back, good. I trust that this regime is going to do the right thing because they've proven time in and time out that they can. That wraps it up for this segment of Chargers Talk 4630. Thank y'all for staying with me and hanging in there. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of your birthday shout outs you gave me, all the well wishes you gave me. I appreciate your support so much. I appreciate the subscriptions. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you guys so much. You have no freaking idea how much I appreciate you. This is part of my life. I love doing this. And to have people show an appreciation for what you do, it's fantastic, man. And I can't thank you enough. So rally together, man. Charger fans, rally together. Rally together. We got the right regime in place. See you on next podcast. Remember, be good, be thankful, and God bless.